Marketing miniseries, New York Real Estate Show, Greg Helbeck, Michael Pinter, both reporting to you from the Empire State. We're going to talk about a marketing channel that is not very popular. It's not very sexy, but I'll tell you what, if you do what Michael Pinter and I are going to tell you to do in this episode, not only are you going to be a market celebrity, but you're going to be able to get properties for free, and you're going to be able to help other people and change their lives. And I'm really excited to talk about this marketing channel because Michael and I do it a lot. We've made a lot of money doing it, and it will continue to be a marketing channel forever until we both die, because it's really, really
long after we're dead.
Yeah, it'll be like a legacy channel, like people will be going to our grandkids and still doing deals with our grandkids. So anyway, the channel we're talking about is relationship marketing and doing business with your quote unquote competition, because that's something that everyone's, oh, Greg, I mean, I'm in the same market as you, or there's so many people in San Diego, and Michael, I mean, there's 3 million people in Long Island. We're going to get the same leads. This is what Michael and I do to get a lot of our deals. We partner up with other investors in the market, specifically new investors, and we add a lot of value to each other, and we get great deals. So Michael, you actually do more of this than I actually do. So I want you to kind of take the reins here, and then I'll kind of fill in the gaps.
Sure. So to be honest, like I got into this almost by accident, right? I didn't really understand how this whole thing could work. But I started a REIA, Real Estate Investors Association. And what ended up happening is that people came to me and said, hey, I think this might be a deal. I don't know. Can you help me with this? And what happened over time is that, and this is something that a lot of the gurus don't tell you, and it's really more appropriate for New York or California, because it's not so simple to know what a deal is. Nobody tells you when you start this thing. They just say, oh, send out a mailing or call a code enforcement list. And you sort of think people are going to answer the phone and go, hey, I need to sell my house and I'll take any price, or I need to sell in 5 minutes. That's not what's going to happen. They're probably going to have a number, and you're going to have to make a determination of whether that's a deal or not. So people started coming to me and saying, hey, is this a deal? Is this a deal? And to be honest, most of the time it wasn't a deal. But then I remember a guy, I still remember the deal. He told me this is the house, the address. He gave me the wrong address. He said it was in Hempstead, and he gave me a price. And I'm like, that sounds high for Hempstead. But then he looked and he goes, no, it's in the town of Hempstead, but it's in the city. It's in Merrick. Merrick's a much nicer area. And I'm like, if that's really what they want, that's probably a really good deal. And it was a deal. And then what happened after that is that he didn't know what to do, right? Because he's new. And when you're new, you don't know what to do. So I said, I'm going to help you with this. No problem. So we went to the seller to meet with them. We made an offer. We negotiated. They agreed. I said, I'm going to wholesale this to my list. And basically we're going to split this. My phone was buzzing. We're going to split this 50-50. And I think it was a $30,000 deal. He got $15,000. I got $15,000. And that's an amazing thing, because if you think about it, if he had never come to the REIA, and if he had never spoken to me and never asked me about it, someone else would have made that $30,000. So by talking to someone who knows what they're doing, by talking to someone like Greg or me, you take $0 and you turn it into $15,000. Now, since then, I realized this is something that probably, this is the only guy that either comes to the REIA or watches my videos or listens to a podcast, probably not the only guy that has the same problem. A lot of people don't know how to start. But I'd say the biggest issue is that they're almost terrified that if a seller says, yeah, I want to sell, what they're going to do, what the next step after that is. Yeah. And they're almost terrified that that they'll make an offer and the seller will agree, because they don't know what to do, right? There's
especially in New York, because that's a big deal.
There's a deposit involved, there's attorneys involved, they don't know what to do. So I've been helping a lot of people now do that. And I'm looking at my recent board. I got a lot of 1, 2, 3, 4 JV deals, on the board that are in contract right now. So that's people who either are students of mine who are, took my course or coaching, or someone who just found me and said, hey, I think this is a deal. Now, for every one deal that comes in that works as JV, there's probably 10 that don't work, right? And people come and say, is this a deal? And I go, it's not a deal at that number. It's only a deal at this number, or let me go take a look, or that seller, it's not a deal at all. By the way, a lot of times they bring deals that aren't deals at all, right? This deal is listed for sale and, some kind of thing like that. But the idea is that if you want to get into this business and really, you say, I do this more down from this side, but Greg, when you started, you did this on the other side, because you partnered up with guys that we know. You didn't know what to do. You brought them a deal. They basically gave you a wholesale fee for it, and they took the deal further. But without them, you would never have monetized those leads and those deals. And the same thing that we're both doing now on the other side, where we're able to monetize deals from people who don't know how to get money out of a deal. And I would say even more than that, because I can't emphasize enough. When you start, you're not going to know what a deal is and what a deal isn't. You don't know how to accurately assess what a value of the property is. You don't know how to negotiate with the seller. You don't know what the important parts are. I'm not even talking about the logistics of finding an attorney, of where the deposit comes from, of how to get the contract in place. That's separate. That you could figure out. But to actually assess what and figure out if it's a deal or not, in the beginning, you're going to need somebody to help you. So that's where I, and Greg, you're doing the same thing now. I've come and helped a bunch of people do deals like that.
Yeah, and it's the biggest thing I've noticed with that is it's such a win-win for everyone, because at the end of the day, like, people, a lot of new investors, and I've been there, you've been there, you want to get money to prove a concept. And you might be motivated, but like, as Jim Rohn says, if you're motivated and you're an idiot, you're just a motivated idiot. And I'm not calling anyone on here an idiot. I'm just saying,
I
like,
never heard that from Jim Rohn, but that's great.
yeah, I remember listening to that and I was like, oh man, that's super good. I'm going to totally steal that. So you could really have good intentions, but if you don't have the skills, like if I really want to be a brain surgeon, Michael, and I'm motivated, but I don't know what I'm doing, I'm going to cut your head off. You know what I mean? So like, I see a lot of people, they're hustling, they're doing the work, they're getting leads or whatever, but they just don't understand. They don't have the experience and the skills that come with time and experience to know what's going on. And they fumble. It's like that, I'm a Giant fan and they suck. And like, they just fumble the football, and I'm going to the Jet game this Sunday and I'm going to watch a bunch of fumbles because they might want to win, but they just suck, so you got to have the repetitions and the skills, and that comes with time and experience.
100%. And gurus, and it's funny because gurus really, they don't teach this part of it. Mm-hmm. I know, like Tom Kroll's great, right? He did it from Wholesaling. Used to be Wholesaling. So he'll say, I don't know anything about real estate, right? I just know how to market. But in certain areas, so he works Port St. Lucie, Florida. Yeah, in certain areas where everything's homogenous, you can be like that, right? If I buy anything under $70,000, I know it's a deal, right? If you're working in Lubbock, Texas, where everything's built after 1985. But in the areas we work, this product from like the 1900s and this product later, it's block to block difference. Mm-hmm. If you don't really know your area, you're not going to know what to offer to make money. And to be honest, you and I still have houses in areas that we buy where we're not 100% sure what a deal is, right? Sometimes we'll throw it out to the list before in contract because we're not sure. So the idea that you're just going to jump into this business and be able to determine what the right price is to offer is not really accurate until you really get a bunch of deals under your belt. And even then, you have to learn. It's a skill that you and I are good at. You and I could probably look at 99% of the properties in the areas we buy, and within 3 minutes, with PropStream or MLS, we can figure out if it's a deal. We can figure out what price we need to buy it, right? Assuming we have an idea of how much repairs they need. That's another thing. A lot of these guys get in there and they don't know what the repair estimate is. They come in super high. They bring in some contractor who does, home remodeling. The guy tells them to fix the house up, it's $250,000. The seller wants $400,000. The ARV is $500,000, and they offer the guy $100,000. I mean, like, they don't know what they're doing, right? You don't know, they don't know. You and I know that, and we only know that because we've been doing it for many years. So to me, partnering up with somebody who's good. So people ask me all the time, because I do a lot on my YouTube channel, and basically my main YouTube channel is helping other people get started flipping or wholesaling houses. And I get the same question all the time. Why would you train your competition? And I always say, and this is from Tom Kroll, actually, I don't believe in competition. I only believe in collaboration, right? We both work in areas where there's so many millions of people that the idea that I'm going to train that guy and he's going to steal a deal from me is ludicrous. There's plenty of deals out there. That's not the problem. But the truth is, if I have 5 or 6 people that when they get a deal are bringing it to me and working at a profit split, it's free money to me, right? And I always say this, and even the people I coach, I tell them, you don't have to do any deals with me. You don't have to. I said, you might want to with the first few because you're just not going to know what you're doing. I said, but if you want to do deals with me, that's great. And that's really how you and I make money, helping people, right? Because when they have to do a deal, they'll give us a piece of that deal. That's how it works.
Exactly. And it's a no strings attached, and it's not a high pressure. Like, it's not like it's like a, hey, like there's all this it's like, hey, like if you want help, you bring us a deal, we both get paid when it closes, no harm, no foul. And that I've found that to be such a good win-win relationship. And like I've found too, like with new investors, if you want them coming back to you, if a new investor brings, like, I'll give you an example. There's a guy that I know, and I'm helping him get started. and he brings me a lot of deals and we do them together. And, you know, I've made the guy some money. Right. And he wants to keep coming back to me because he knows that I can deliver and I know what I'm doing and I'm able to turn his opportunities into money. And not only is he making money, but he's getting the fast track of knowledge by shadowing me throughout the process. And that's a big thing about New York that people don't talk about, is not only do you need to know the inventory, and this applies in any, like California too, like that's a crazy market, just like New York. Like, not only is the person that you're going to work with making money with you and adding value, but they're learning how the ins and outs of a deal go. Like, for example, like this is a case study. A buddy of mine found a house in Monroe, which is like down the street from where I am right now. And it was a very hairy deal. And it was like, this house was just in a weird spot. We ended up wholesaling it for a big spread. But if he didn't come to me, he would not have gotten that deal. And not necessarily because he's a moron, because he's a very smart guy, but like, this was a complicated, like I had to really posture up in this negotiation with this buyer because he was trying to like jerk my chain. And I'm like, listen, dude, I've been around the block and I'm not afraid of you. And you're going to basically shit or get off the pot. And we ended up, like, he ended up performing, but it was hard. There was a lot of tension and like, it was if I didn't have, 100 plus houses under my belt, I wouldn't have probably been able to do that deal. Right. But like, I've been there, done that. I have experience. So like, I was able to kind of handle that scenario based on experiences in the past. And that just comes by doing deals. So that investor was able to watch me do that. And he got to learn everything that I have experienced in the last 5 years of my life. So that is knowledge that will never go away from you. It's like riding a bike. Once you know how to do
100%.
it.
And that's amazing knowledge.
Yeah.
Like you seeing how you handle it. So I have another case study going on right now. So I had a guy brand new. He goes out and literally puts door hangers on for me for free. And he got somebody to call. And it was actually a seller that I had spoken to a few years ago, but whatever. And the seller was really, it's like an illegal 2-family, and he's got 2 squatter tenants there. I haven't paid rent and got ever. So, so I said, let's try it. I threw it out to my list, occupied, and I didn't get any takers. So then I said, okay. He goes, what do you want to do? I said, let's go talk to the tenants. So we negotiated with the seller, got him down even lower. And then before we were in contract, I went to the tenants and I said, I have my standard line, which is, you really only have 2 choices here. I go, you think you have more choices, but you only have 2. The first one is you leave in a while when the sheriff comes and pulls you out. I said, I'll be standing right there. I said, or you can leave sooner with money for me. Those are the only 2 choices. And I negotiated with both sellers. They each took 2 squatters. I had to give them each $8,000. So it cost me $16,000 to get the deal out. But then actually right before that, I threw the deal out to my list vacant, and it's like a $90,000. No, it's a $75,000 wholesale deal. I have to lay out 16, so it's a $60,000 wholesale deal. So like the guy, he first of all, obviously he's in awe of me, but he's like, I never would have even known like to do that. I don't know how to do that. And I'm like, okay, so now you learn. You got it. You got to try it. Now those squatters could have said no, but once they agreed, like I just unlocked $60,000 worth of cash there. So he's super thrilled. He's going to get 30. I'm going to get 30 on the deal, and my 15 back and my 16 back, and everybody's happy. But like that never would have happened. I don't know what would have happened to that house. I don't really know. The seller probably would have had another 3 years as he fights with these tenants, but some other douche investor probably would have made a little bit of money on it if the guy didn't come to me. And now he's making he's super thrilled. He's over the moon at how much money he's going to get. I'm happy that I got a deal where I didn't really have to spend money on the marketing. It's a win. It's a complete win-win. The seller's happy that he got rid of this property that we wasn't making any money on it, wasn't getting any money in it. Everybody wins. And I really, that's the way I think you have to approach all of these deals. Everybody should be happy.
Absolutely.
Some guy's not happy, then either that guy doesn't understand how it works or something's wrong.
Yeah, no, it's so true. And that's the big value add. And a lot of new people might be listening to this right now or watching it. And they're like, well, I'm a little intimidated to approach somebody who has experience, who's busy or whatever. And it's like, for a guy like me, or for a guy like you, or any guy who's successful, air quotes there, like if someone comes to me and says, Greg, how do I add value to you? And I say, let's do some deals together. If they approach me and they're like, hey, I have this property, what do you think about it? Of course, I'm going to drop everything I'm doing and talk to them, because to me, it's an opportunity to JV and make some money. Quite frankly, I'm a capitalist. And to them, it's like they're bringing something that I want. If they're like, hey, Greg, let me like whatever, like something that's not going to move the needle, like I'll probably talk to them because I'm a nice guy. But like if someone is consistently bringing you opportunities, to a guy like me and to a guy like you, those are free leads where that, because you and I spend tens of thousands of dollars a month on marketing. So like if I can get a lead for free and I have to split it, that's just as good as me paying $6,000 to buy a house in my market, because that's the cost per deal. So like, don't think that I'm not going to answer your phone call. Listen, it's like the boy who cried wolf. If you bring me 10 MLS properties that are listed,
Right.
we can kind of get into that on the back half of the show on like how to,
You probably
what to
should.
bring. Yeah.
We should
What to
probably talk
bring.
about what deals you should not bring to somebody.
Yeah. 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 Exactly. Or like some daisy chaining jerk off who's like,
Oh,
bring out. By the way, man, if you want crazy story real quick, it's on the record. So I had a house in San Diego last week. We wholesaled it. It's in escrow or whatever. And in San Diego, that is like the land of daisy chaining, because there's like 10 million wholesalers. So I
everybody's
sent
trying to
this
make
thing out.
$3,000. Everybody's trying to
Yeah.
get in there.
I send this thing out at like 10:30 Pacific. And, everyone's blowing me up. And I'm like, we're doing the showing tomorrow. Hold your horses, keep the freaking dog in its cage. So I get a text from one of my buddies out there. And he's like, holy shit, Hellbeck, your deal is like making the freaking runway out here in the San Diego
Oh, I
market
see
today.
it
And I'm like,
everywhere.
so what happens is someone will get that and then they'll tack on 10 grand and then they'll send it to their cousin. He'll send it to their
Yeah.
uncle. And next thing you know, so here's a big lesson for if you want to like not get ignored, do not, and I repeat, do not take a wholesaler's email. It doesn't matter where you are. This happens in Long Island and the Hudson Valley all the time too.
For
If
sure.
you get a house from me for $200,000 and you think it's okay to go take that house, put it up for $220,000, if that's called daisy chaining, and that's a huge no-no. All right. So
Yes,
don't
I
do
agree.
that.
I
Right?
I
Do you
call
see
it
that in Long
middling.
Island?
I call it yeah. So there's a guy. So when I used to go to the auctions, there was this group that used to sit in front of me, a bunch of Pakistani guys. They buy a lot of properties, a lot, and they paid crazy numbers. Right. The word around was that they had end buyers ready and they knew what it was. I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
But I noticed recently when I would send out my list, one of these guys got on the list and he'd stick out my property and add some money to it. And I told him, do not do that. He goes, why not? We can make money. You can make money. I go, because it cheapens my deals. Right. And if my buyers are seeing my deals from multiple places
At higher prices.
with multiple prices, they don't know if I'm for real or for real or you're for real. I go, listen, I am only direct from seller and direct to buyer. That's how I work. There's a guy, an Israeli guy, used to take my deals and send them out. I got somebody once called me. He got my deal from some guy in Utah for like $42,000 more than I asked for it. And I'm like, how many people were in the middle of this thing? And I take those people off my list.
Yeah. For sure.
So people call me when people call me, and these are the magic words. Well, I'm not a buyer, but I work with buyers, or I'm part of a group of buyers. When I hear that, I go, listen, if you're going to buy, I'll send you out my deals. I said, but if you're going to send my deals out to anybody, I really don't want to put you on my list. And they go, why? I go, because I don't want my buyers seeing my deals from more than one place. When people see my deals, I want them seeing it only from me. I go, it cheapens me and it reduces my credibility. And some of them have a hard time with that. I go, I'm sorry. I apologize. I know you're not used to hearing this, but I don't want you on my list.
100%. And that's the way to go. And that's how you eliminate tire kicker buyers and keep the ones who are good. Because at the end of the day, like we have a friend, Frank, this guy, Frank's a savage. Like hope he's listening. Savage is a compliment, by the way, right? In New York, if you're a savage, you're like the president, So this guy, he does a lot of deals. He does a lot of business in our markets or whatever. And one time he sent out a wholesale deal and some knucklehead sent Frank back his own deal. And he called the guy up and I thought he was going to go there with a crowbar, but like, don't do that. Like the point of this is like, be honest with people you're working with. I have a lot of buyers who say, Greg, I might have a buyer who might want to buy this. Do I have permission to show it to this buyer exclusively?
Right.
Of course.
No problem with that. You want to joint venture with some guy, but don't advertise a deal that's not yours as yours. That I don't like.
100%.
While we're on the list of don'ts, let's talk about the other thing that people shouldn't, the deals that you should not send. So I have a guy, he's a nice guy. He doesn't know what he's doing. And he'll call me and he'll go, I got 2 deals next door to each other. These are the greatest deals. And I go, okay, what are they? He goes, well, one's listed for sale and the other one looks like it's falling apart. I said, okay, I want to make something very clear. I go, it's not a deal until you've spoken to the decision maker, which should be the seller, except on rare occasion. I go, until you've spoken to a seller, don't even call me with it, right? And in general, if it's listed on the MLS, it's probably not a deal. And so people have to understand that. And I had a 16-minute discussion with a guy, and every second of that discussion, I was thinking, why am I wasting my time with this guy? He would not be convinced that if it was listed for sale, it's not a deal. Why? I said, well, if it's listed for sale for X and it's not selling in today's market, it's probably not worth X. Because, but we can get it cheaper. I said, but everybody can see that deal there. I go, I have to buy it at a significant discount to what it's actually worth. And it's not worth what the seller thinks it's worth. So for me to come in later at 70% of what he's asking, I said, chances are he's not going to go for it. But
Yeah.
maybe he will. I go, you're right, maybe. I said, I have bought properties listed on the MLS, but they're 1 in a million.
Yeah,
Has to be
once
like
a year to me.
Yeah,
It
something that
happens
comes
once a year.
something that comes out that I can grab right away that's mispriced, or something where they can't show it. They can't show it because there's a tenant in there and they're really willing and they're just desperate to want to take blood because no one's coming to see it. I said, but it's a rare occurrence. I said, if you bring me deals that are listed on the MLS, I said, we're not going to have a good relationship.
100%. And that's the key too, because it sets the stage for like when someone knows, like they have like a buy box or criteria on how to approach someone like you or me versus just sending them bullshit, thinking that they're being productive, but they're really just choking their chicken and wasting their time. And I'm just like, I think a lot of it, you got to do the work. Like, and like you say this, I've learned this from you, and it's true. It's like, it's very easy to build a buyer's list because everyone wants to freaking, hey, Michael, if I can get you an investment property at 60 cents on the dollar, would you ever consider buying it? No, I'd rather just go fly to Afghanistan and fucking, sit in the airport.
Oh, you want to send me money? Yeah, okay, sure. Put me on your list.
But so the point of that is like, I know we're very funny and this is the best show in the world, but like the point of that is it's easy to build a buyer's list because it's an offer that's an irrefusable offer. It's hard to prospect and send money and get rejected and follow up and deal with 10 decision makers and have an attorney bitch about the deposit. There's resistance there. There's no resistance with sending a random buyer, hey, would you like to buy my property if I give you a good deal? Like, no shit. Of course I would, So right. You got to focus on the areas that move the needle, which is talking to sellers and making offers. Like you say this all the time, and I 100% agree with you. Building up a buyer's list is total horseshit. I don't care what.
Complete waste of time.
It's a waste of time.
It's how do they say, mental masturbation?
Mental masturbation. It's so stupid.
It feels so good. It feels great. Hey, I'm building a buyer's list. I heard this guy in Phoenix told me that I have to do reverse wholesale. Like all I'm going to do is build a buyer's list, ask them all what they want, and then I'm just going to find it to them and hand it to them on a platter. And I'm going to make billions in the next 2 weeks. The guy told me, right? Because it feels so good, right?
Feels good.
I'm going to call people that look like they buy, and I'm going to ask them if I can send them something that makes the money. Will they agree? And they're all going to say yes and tell me exactly what they want. Unfortunately, They're going to say yes, but they're never going to tell you what they want. Even my good buyers, right? I have buyers who bought over a dozen properties from me. If I called them now and said, hey, what do you like? They're going to say the same thing as everybody in New York. Anything that makes money, anywhere, anything, because there isn't such a tight buy box. Like in Phoenix, there's a tight buy box.
Yeah,
right?
There's funds buying there. It's a total different market.
Right. The fund needs a 3-bedroom, 2-bath CBS. What is that? Concrete brick construction.
Yeah. The stucco shit.
No basement. Built after 19. In New York, there's a million things. There's just too the inventory by us is way too diverse. Right.
Yeah.
In the Hudson Valley too, you got stuff built there.
Dude, it's crazy.
In the 1800s.
Even in San Diego, the inventory is fucking crazy. I was looking at 2 houses in La Mesa yesterday, and they were built in 1920, and they were little fucking meth labs. And I'm like, this isn't like. I've actually, it's funny. I was on the plane last night coming here this morning, and I was listening to somebody talk on a pod. Oh, I was listening, dude. There's this guy named Doug Hopkins. Okay, I'm sure you've heard of him.
Sounds familiar.
This guy is like the absolute like king of buying. Listen to Steve Trang, Doug Hopkins, Real Estate Disruptors podcast. This guy is an absolute legend. And Doug's business partner was interviewed on Steve Trang show. His name's Darren. That's another. I like the Steve Trang Real Estate podcast, whatever he puts out.
He's pretty good, Steve Trang. I like his.
Yeah. So he's got Doug Hopkins, his partner, on the line or whatever. And he goes, why do all the gurus like Phoenix, Arizona? Like, it seems like, and I'll make a point here in a minute, but like, he's like, why is everyone in Phoenix? And the guy is from Phoenix. And he's like, here's why. Every fucking property in Phoenix, for the most part, is built on a tract home in a grid. It's built after 1980. And I've been to Phoenix several times. I've driven around the streets of Phoenix.
Me too.
Literally, I kid you not, every house looks the same. It's unbelievable. It's like you're in like the Twilight Zone or something, because every house is the same. In our market, like, I've found another good way to get, to JV with me is like, or for me to see if it's a deal. If I go on the MLS and I go literally like take the subject property, I go a quarter mile out and I just filter the property from cheapest to most expensive. If I can get that house cheaper than the leased house that is sold on the market, usually it's a deal, because like, and that's like a little like advanced hack, whatever. You could go do that yourself. But the point of that is like, you could get a house in New York that was built in 1920 in Suffolk County or wherever, in Hempstead, wherever the hell that is. And you could think it's a deal because some guru is saying something, but then at the end of the day, that property might be in like Massapequa schools or whatever the fuck. And then this house could be in, I don't know, Elmont
In Amityville schools.
Yeah. And
100%.
that's it's a huge value.
It could be $100,000 off.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you think about the hottest areas in the country now, Dallas, Phoenix,
Salt Lake,
Utah, and what's the other one I'm thinking?
Oh, Vegas, Las Vegas.
Vegas. Those are all properties where almost a huge portion of them are built after 1980, right? And a guy who's flipping houses there knows what it costs him to do, because every house is the same. Same shit. And it's just not the same by us. So you need to know a little more about what's going on.
Yeah, for sure. And that's where the big value add is with partnering with other investors. So let's wrap the show up with a very specific action step. So let's say someone's listening to the show and they are not a newbie. They have made money in this business. They do this full time and they want to try to get other investors to bring them deals. I'm going to share some strategies on how to get leads, air quotes, of new investors. So here's the best way to, and it's not rocket science here. Put out content about what you're doing. That's literally how that's the secret of my sauce. I put out podcasts and I go on Instagram when, when 2 p.m. when I'm doing nothing, and I'll put a post out like, I just wholesaled this house, and I usually I have like a framework. It's like the house, the story on how I actually got the house. Cause a lot of these guys post these checks and they're like showing some bullshit. Like, hey, this is how I got the house. This is like the real numbers on it. Like, I don't flex. I'm like, this is just the numbers on it. And then at the end, so it's an intriguing like read or whatever, watch whatever I'm making. And then at the end, there's an offer. Hey, if you're in San Diego or in the Hudson Valley and you have a house, you want to partner with me, reach out to me on a DM. And then they see that I'm obviously doing business and then I want to do more business. And when you put that out consistently, whether that's a post or whether like you make daily YouTube videos, you build credibility subconsciously with people because they know that you're obviously an expert because you're talking about it every day, and it magnetizes people to come to you, right? And instead of like, getting a list of investors and text messaging them on Lead Sherpa saying, yeah, let's JV deals. It's like, no, I'd rather just like make a video or a post or a podcast like what we're doing now. By the way, if you have a deal and you're in Long Island or the Hudson Valley, hit up Michael or me, whatever. Shameless plug. That's how you attract people to do business with you. There's another guy I work with in my market. He found me on Instagram. He's marketing. I've seen his website, because we compete on SEO and stuff like that. He came to me and we talked on the phone, and he brought me a house. We made some money. He brought me another house and made some more money. But he saw my stuff online and he was just, he reached out to me and we became really good friends since then. We made some money. So like putting out content, and you don't have to be like a guy like Michael I who's done hundreds of deals. You just got to be out there documenting what you're doing. Let's say you've done 10 houses. You doing 10 houses is 10 times better than a guy who's never done one house. So don't think if you haven't done 100 houses, you can't go out and market yourself.
If you did two deals, you're to a lot of people who've never done a deal, you're
a prodigy. You're
Luke Skywalker.
Yeah. So Michael, what do you like? You put out a lot of YouTube videos. Like, what do you see? I mean, and I'm serious. I still to this day, every morning, watch your YouTube videos because I learn stuff from what you put out. So like, how has the content that you've put out obviously benefited you? I mean, this is a softball question here, but like, what have you seen from it?
It's brought me people who wanted my help and who have sent me deals, right? And the irony of it is you can't put out the content. You have to give without thinking about receiving, right? You have to give it. Like when I created the REIA, it was just because every REIA in my area sucked, was expensive, was boring. A lot of them made you sit through terrible presentations or through horrible dinners. And I was like, I'm just going to send the free REIA. And I had no expectations of anything in return. But when you put out that and you just say, I'm here to help, you end up getting, when you end up getting a lot in return. It's ironic, but you have to really think of it that way. So that's the way I do it. I'm just here to help. People ask me all the time, why do you do these? And I'm like, I'm just here to help. If anybody needs help, I'm here to help you.
Exactly. And the thing I've noticed too is like, you and I really enjoy this business. Like, it's not like, I don't really feel like people will kind of scrutinize me sometimes like, oh, dude, you're always fucking on the phone. Like, why are you always like, I'm like, dude, like, number one, like, stop bitching. And number two, like, this is like, I used to be a lifeguard when I was 16 years old at a pool with a stupid whistle around my neck, trying to like not get yelled at for 8 hours, making $10 an hour. Now I can, I'm able to literally make my own hours and make more money than I ever would dream of helping people. Like, this is not work. This
Let me
is
tell you
fun.
what's when you do something you like, the concept of retirement seems absurd.
It's bullshit.
Like I'll do this till I die because I like doing it and it's great. Why would I stop doing it like that? The concept of retirement, I forgot where I read it. I forgot in whose book. Maybe it was I'm not sure who, but he was
4-hour work week, maybe.
Could be, but he's like, the idea that you're going to work at a job you hate for 30 or 40 years and then retire and hope that your savings will keep you going is ridiculous. The best years of your life are going to be spent doing shit that you hate because you hope you'll be able to gather up enough money to do the things you want. He goes, do the things you want your whole life.
Wow.
Just find a way to make money at it. So thank God you and I have found a way to make money at things that we really like. And I don't see any reason why I have to stop doing this. I'll do this till the day I'm dead. I love it.
If someone dropped 10 million bucks on my lap, like, listen, that would be nice. And I probably would stick that in some properties and technically never have to work again. But I would still get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and I would read and I would, do all my thing because I enjoy that shit. It's not like it's a burden to me. Listen, there are some days in this business where I get a little frustrated. I'm sure
that's going to happen to everyone. It happens to you, happens to me, happens to guys who make 10 times as much as us. They have shitty days too.
Yeah.
That, people say, oh, like we used to say that the group that we're part of Investor Field, people go up there, guys who are making multi-million dollars a year consistently. And they get up and they go, I just want to know how to even it out. Like, I don't want a $400,000 a month and then a $40,000 a month. Like, those guys are still having those issues. So the truth is, it's always going to happen. Like, you're going to have ups and downs in any business. It's nice to think like you're going to be the CEO of Apple and just watch a new iPhone come out and make, and watch your sales. But the truth is, there's ups and downs in any business, but we love what we do. So even when the days are bad, we're still happy that we're in control of our time and in control of our business. So
100% remaining grateful is the key. And here's a big lesson for me, and then we'll wrap the show. I think the listeners got a lot of value from this marketing strategy. It will really help, like, way of helping people and also having it benefit yourself. I remember when I started this business, I worked for free, air quotes there, for like 12 months because I didn't know what I was doing. And I remember I was so used to doing the work, and I liked it because I knew I was making progress. I remember the first time I made money, I was like, holy shit, I just made money. And I was just out there like doing what I normally do for free. So I was conditioned to do it for free. And then when I started getting money from it, it was just like a bonus. Like, and it's the same shit today. Like, I'm doing different shit today. It's different, but like, I'm still like getting up every day, making my own schedule, buying properties and doing the tasks that require success there. And it's like, I'm getting paid to do something I love. And I think the people watching or listening to this, like, you can, like, when you get to that place, because it's obviously possible, you will think of money completely differently. Like, I have a different association with money now than I did when I got started. And I'm sure it's the same with you too. Like, you came from you were on Wall Street or whatever. And it's like, it's just a different way to live your life. And this is not a philosophy podcast, but the point of that is, like, make sure that you do the work every day, you're consistent. And when you start making money, because that will inevitably happen when you make enough offers, we could hold a show on that. Like, you'll be able to be in a position like Michael and I, where you'll have new investors coming to you for help and you'll be JVing with them and you'll be seen as the expert, and everyone will elevate each other to the next level versus like having it be like, like when you start becoming successful, you're going to want to inevitably help others. And then, like, now you and I like have other people we look up to that we're like, oh, we can learn from them. And the spiral keeps going up, or the success spiral. So takeaways from the show before we wrap it up: put out content, document what you're doing. Your competition are your friends. You collaborate with them. You don't need to like stab them with pitchforks. I mean, there's like literally 100 investors in San Diego and 85% of them are cool guys. There's 12 investors in New York and 11 of them are cool. You know what I mean? So you don't look at your competition like they're enemies. Like, you can do more together and get farther together than you can if you're like hoarding all your data and secrets in your little bunker, like not scared to give it out, because there's no secrets last time I checked, especially in New York, because lists are hard to pull.
100%.
So that's today's show. If you're listening and you get value, leave a review on iTunes, share this with people, copy and paste it, and we'll see everyone on the next podcast.